Part 3 of this 4-part series on the Swartberg Pass covers the section from the Gamkaskloof turnoff at the 10.8 kilometer mark to the 16.6 kilometer point along the southern descent and includes the summit point known as Die Top. It took approximately 5 to 7 years to construct the Swartberg Pass, with major construction efforts occurring between 1881 and the official opening on January the 10th, 1888. At the 11.6 kilometer point, some green roof buildings appear on the right-hand side of the road, almost directly below the pass summit. This was originally the site of the road camp where the convicts were housed and perished one snowy night 120 years ago when their roof caved in. Today the buildings have been restored and serve as a restaurant named the O Tolles, which has been launched in 2026. He managed to keep the gradient lower than 1 in 8 throughout the pass compared to the steeper 1 in 6 of the Montague Pass. Bain cleverly used the ridges of the foothills for a comfortable altitude gaining approach to the looming bulk of the Swartberg range, where he chose the lowest saddle as his target for the summit. It was tough going, and there are many stories that abound about the hardships endured by these pioneering men. When the crest of the pass had been reached during the second winter, a road builder's camp had been set up close to the summit. After a particularly heavy snowfall, the roof of the camp collapsed, killing several of the convicts. The next set of switchbacks consists of 4 hairpin bends, and whilst they are most impressive, they're not quite in the league of those in Muller's Kloof. The road is also not so narrow here, and there are more opportunities to stop for sightseeing as well as photography. The third hairpin changes the heading into the west as the final pull-up to the 1,575 meter high summit is tackled. Be prepared for cold blustery conditions at the summit and be aware that there is limited parking. This is not the optimum view site on the pass, and the weather often spoils things here as the wind can really howl through the neck, often reaching gale force conditions. It's much better to stop at one of the 3 view sites along the southern descent. Once again, we remind visitors not to put any stickers or damage the road signs in any way. From the summit point, which is a natural saddle in the mountain, you'll have expansive views to the south of most of the Klein Karoo with its patchwork of green farmlands, whilst the northern vista is entirely different, displaying much drier mountains with a massive gorge splitting the upper mountain plateau into 2. The southern descent is mainly in an easterly direction and offers beautiful views to the right. Here you'll also see many examples of Bain's dry-packed stone walls, some of them up to 2.3 kilometers in length. Bain used heat and water to break the big rocks up. A large fire would be lit under or near a big rock, and then cold water would be poured over it strategically, resulting in the rock cracking into smaller, more manageable pieces. Thomas acquired most of these skills from his father, and to whom he was apprenticed for several years, who had an intimate understanding of geology. In these early pioneering days, the tools employed were very rudimentary and consisted primarily of picks, shovels, sledgehammers, gunpowder, and pure hard labor. This is much more than just a road. It's one of the great feats of 19th century engineering in South Africa. Its steep hairpin bends, panoramic views, and remarkable dry stonework make the pass both a historical landmark and a living testament to human ingenuity in a harsh landscape. The second view site, named Skelmdry, is very good if the wind is not blowing, with wonderful views and sufficient parking space for about 6 vehicles. In the mid to late 1800s, the Swartberg Mountains presented a formidable natural barrier between the Great Karoo and the Little Karoo. Prior links, especially through Meiringspoort and Sewevikspoort, were vulnerable to flooding and rock faults, often becoming impassable and isolating communities and markets. The economic heart of the Little Karoo, particularly Oudtshoorn, with its booming ostrich feather trade, needed dependable access to the rest of the Cape Colony and the coastal ports. The idea of carving a road over the Swartberg Ridge predated the actual construction. Engineers and explorers had scouted possible routes for years, with early surveys identifying steep gradients, deep ravines, and folded rock formations that would later be a highlight of the route's scenery. It was clear that any successful alignment would require extraordinary engineering skills to maintain a manageable gradient whilst traversing the complex terrain. In 1879, Thomas Bain, already respected for earlier mountain passes, was commissioned to design the route that would become the Swartberg Pass. Bain, son of famed engineer Andrew Geddes Bain, would ultimately leave his mark on this project as one of his greatest achievements. Construction formally began in 1881 under the supervision of one Jan Tassis, who employed about 100 workers from Mozambique. Tassis' contract stipulated an 18-month build period, but progress was slow. After 13 months, the road extended only about 6 kilometers. In the challenging environment, logistics, from moving materials to managing labor, proved formidable. Ultimately, Tassis was declared insolvent, leaving much of the pass unfinished. In November of 1883, the Cape Colonial Government took direct control of the project, appointing Thomas Bain to complete the work. Bain reinvigorated the construction with the use of convict labor, a common but arduous form of manpower of that era, enlisting roughly 200 to 250 men to push the project forward. Don't miss part 4 and the final video in this 2026 series on the Swartberg Pass.